what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to part 3 of the Gen 2 Charger Hellcat swap. We still don't have the gas lines, but we have a lot of other parts that we could be working on and getting those things out the way and save time on that by the time we get those gas lines, so we could drop in this motor and hear this thing run. So the plan for tonight, as you can see, it's dark outside, but I got enough lighting in here to work with, as well as these projector lights. I'm gonna drop the gas tank. I got the new gas tank right over here. Put the new gas tank in because the fuel pumps on these are, of course, different. We're gonna install the rear suspension, which is right over here. Covered it up. We're gonna install that. Probably gonna install the carpet, the dash if we have time, and maybe even get time to the headliner to get that installed. So we're gonna get working, and hopefully by next time this thing should be running and out of the garage. Before we get started, check out this hood that the guy went with on his car. Of course, the stock hood is not going to fit on this and will not clear the supercharger, so he went with this aftermarket hood. It's a Viper style hood for the Charger that they make aftermarket, and it looks really clean. And these are actually, let's see, yeah, those are not closed up. This actually feeds through the hood, so I don't know how that's gonna work when it rains, but it's pretty nice. All right, so we're gonna get started. We gotta take out the filler neck, because if you look down here, the filler neck goes through the cradle, so you can't drop down the cradle because it'll hit into this. There's a 10mm bolt over here. This connector just comes right off like that, and then you gotta pop this off right here. Like that. And I'll take off that 10mm bolt. I'm sorry, not. Now, if you look inside here where the tube goes to the fuel tank, that's I think you use just a regular Phillips to take it off, but I'm gonna roll under there, see what kind of socket it is, and I'll unbolt that too, and then we'll pop the neck off. So this whole thing will come off as one piece. So this, it's a 7mm screw that ties this clamp together. And you can also use a flathead screwdriver to break it loose, but it's a lot easier to use a power tool. So loosen that up as much as you can, and then of course it's going to be tight because it's been in there for years. So you have to break up the seal. That's how the clamp looks. You loosen that up, and it'll come off this hose. And then I'll take it off from the outside. That'll just push right inside, like that. So since I'm gonna we'll be replacing these calipers, I'm going to keep the brake hose inside because this brake line feeds all the way through, and it's a lot easier to work with when the cradle's going to get dropped. So I'll disconnect the hose from the caliper right over here. This is a 13mm. Shouldn't have any brake fluid because we already disconnected the lines from the front. But if it does, put the pan under like that. There's a little bit in there. You can let that soak down, and we should be good to move to the other side. Okay, now these two covers, they kind of extend out under the cradle. These go under the gas tank. So we'll go under the car, take both the sides off, and then we'll get ready to start dropping the whole cradle down. So we're starting on the left side. They're 10mm nuts. There's about, I'd say 10 of them. And then you got one clip that's right over here. And again, just use a little trim tool. That clip will come right out. And take off the right side. Okay, so now I'm under the car. I'm ready to drop the gas tank. The straps are held in by 13mm bolts. There's one here, one over there. Other side, the same side, or same thing. And you got one over there. This should be good. It's not gonna interfere with anything when you lower it down. And then you got your fuel lines. You got two over there. You got one over here. And I believe these will just stay in the car. A lot of freaking spider webs. So I'm gonna get my tools ready, get it supported, and then we'll bring it down. Now here's the setup. Of course, I'm not working with a hoist. I'm working on the floor. So I got a floor jack with a piece of wood just to support it on both sides. And now I'm gonna get ready to take off the straps and bring the tank down. See, it's a very tight spot where I'm working at, but we're almost ready to get this whole thing off. These red tabs right here, just pull on each side like this and then push up, and like, see how this one goes in here? When you release that tab, it gets that out of this lock, and then you could pull out the fuel line. So for example, like this one, same idea. Like that. And this will stay in the car. And the gas tank is ready to come off. tanks completely out. Now we're ready to drop down the cradle. Really simple, 4 bolts, 18 millimeters, one in this corner, that corner, and then same thing on the other side. The best thing to do is take these off first, and then you come up to the struts, and there's two, I think 15 mils in here, and the whole cradle will drop down, and then you have to take off your parking brake cable, which can be a pain, but we'll try to do that easily. And like I said, the brake hoses are gonna stay in the car, and then we're gonna swap them out later, but we should be good to go now. So that's it, the cradle's down. Now, only thing that's holding it is this parker brake cable, and you gotta separate it from right in there. I'll get you guys a closer, up close to how that thing looks. But it's really simple. There's 4 bolts on each corner of the actual cradle, and then 2 bolts on each side that hold the strut to the frame. And then that's it, the whole thing comes off, and we're almost ready to put the new one in. So now you have a lot more room to work with this brake line. So that's a 13 millimeter. I use the wrench just to loosen that up. Now use a 10 millimeter to take the bracket off. Those are your brake lines or your brake hose. Now if you look at this, it's kind of, I mean, it looks similar, but while I was at it, I didn't want to install the cradle, and then these brake hoses turned out to be different. So if you look in here, it kind of has the same bend, but I'm not sure about the inside, how the diameter is, if it's the same or not. All right, so now we're on the right side. Same concept. Loosen that brake hose. That's out. And then 10 millimeter bracket. That's your brake hose. So that's that'll complete the whole disconnect of that. Now we'll put the coil springs in. I loosened these up just in case I had to get it to clear this frame. I'll tighten it back up once I fully install it. And now we'll get ready to install the cradle. We're gonna install the emergency brake cable. I don't know if you can see in the camera, but they both connect to this small little link in here. When you get it through this post or through this bracket, you'll have to pull out the cable like that, and then use another pair of pliers to kind of stop it. And then it's kind of hard doing it when I'm rolling around. Put it through that. Now they're both connected. See that inside here? You got the left and the right in one link. And now here you got this bracket. It's a 10mm bolt. Yep. That's it. All good. All right, so we got the cradle in position. We're gonna put the struts in first. It's kind of hard to balance it because we only have one jack that's holding the pumpkin from the middle, or actually the differential. But I'm gonna show you the other side. We're good to go. We're gonna lift it up. We're gonna bolt the rear shock to the frame, and that'll give us room to work with, and we'd have to hold it. So we got the cradle mounted to the frame using just the shock absorbers or the struts. As you can see, it still moves around, which is what I want, so I could adjust the cradle if I need to. Now we'll do the brake lines before we fully install it. This goes the other way. That's it. Now your brakes are done on this side. We'll do the same thing to the other side and put the 4 bolts for the cradle, and we'll be good to go. It's a little bit harder because you got these canister lines in the way. They go from this thing on top of here. So it's easier to kind of start the brake line to the hose first and then installing it. we got the cradle complete, 100%. Everything's installed. I got the wiring all plugged in. Only got 2 more wires that plug into the exhaust valves. That's for later. I got the fuel lines down, so when I get the new ones, I can install those. And then now we're gonna move on to the interior. We're gonna install the dash. All right, guys. So as promised, I'm gonna kind of talk about how everything went down with little baby, how he got a hold of me, how he even seen the car, and all that good stuff. So if you know me, when I had the car, I never even had the intentions to sell it. I wanted to keep it. I wanted to do more to the car, add some more modifications, make it faster, make it look better in whatever way. And this one day we were hanging out together, me and my friends and whatnot. And then they're like, we're listening to music, and one of the guys were like, it'll be so cool if a celebrity buys your car, and then we get to see it in music videos and on TV and stuff. So it was just a thought. It wasn't really something that we're actually being serious about. So a couple days later, I sent a picture of my car to 42 Doug. If you guys know who that is, he's a Detroit rapper. To Lil Baby, of course, and I also sent it to Sada Baby. He's also another Detroit rapper. And then weeks go by, and I even forgot about it. I wasn't really checking my DMs to see who opened the message or who even checked it out. Why not? And then one day I'm going through my messages, and I see a reply back from a username, but it didn't say Lil Baby. It said the kid, and it had a check mark by it, he's verified. I'm like, who could this be? So I click on it, and it was Lil Baby. And he asked how much when he seen the picture of the car. So we talked about it. He said to send him some pictures and some videos. I sent him all that good stuff, and then it was taking him a while to reply back to me. I'll send him a text, he'll reply. I'll send him a DM, and he'll reply back hour later, 2 hours later, sometimes the next day. So I DM'd him, and I'm like, listen, if you really want to lock it in, it's gonna be hard to do this over DM. So I sent him my phone number, and then I'm like, if you're really interested, just text me, and then we'll get this all settled, and we'll get the sale going. So he read the message but didn't reply. So I'm like, he probably changed his mind. The next day, I still remember this. I was taking out the trash, and as I was walking inside the house, I get a text from this out-of-state area code number, and it says, "Yo, this is Baby." And then I'm like, this can't be real. There's no way he just texted me. So I opened it up, and it was him. So we started talking. We agreed on a price, and then I told him that I didn't want to risk driving the car all the way to Georgia and having something happen to it, and then I'm going to be, out of my car, and then I'm not going to get paid, of course, because the car's damaged. So he offered to send in an enclosed trailer to get it transported to Atlanta. And the same day it left, I remember it was a Saturday, I got in a rental, and I drove down. It was 10 hours, 11-hour drive. I met up with him. He's a really cool guy, man. I've never met a celebrity like that, but he wasn't hard to talk to. He was really, he was just any other guy. He showed me all the, some of his cars that he has. He drove the car. I mean, you guys probably watched the video when all that happened. But that was it. I mean, like I said, I was never planning on selling it, but how everything happened was really crazy. But do I regret selling it? No. I mean, I do see this as a future opportunity for me to actually start building these and selling them, and I can always build myself another one. That's not really a problem. But that's how that happened. I honestly forgot to post it on my last video, and that's why I'm doing it now. But see you guys on part 4.